I'm putting on this rubberized coating on the door. So you can use a roller with this stuff, but what I've learned is that the roller works better for like a flat surface like the roof, but if you want to go vertical, you're better off with the brush as far as aesthetics go, because stuff works so well, but it's also very temperamental though, meaning that it dries really fast, especially when it's warmer out, and it can get blotchy real quick. So with the roller, what I found was it was just more trouble than it was worth. It wasn't really going on as smooth as I wanted it to, so I switched to the brush. Now I've been using this stuff for quite a while over all the different projects that I've done. So you can see this stuff here. It's very thick. So, and it's important to keep a lid on it when you're not using it because it dries real fast. It starts getting a film on it. But it keeps the metal so much cooler than paint. Alright, this is the shed. So far so good. So all metal panels, 29 gauge. I have the rubberized coating on it. Got to do another coat on the door. Doors, scrap panel. Come inside, you can see solid. So because I use this old platform here, there's a lot of unevenness and there's going to be a lot of cracks, and it's just not an even surface. So even though I did the shed on top of this, you know, and framed it and everything, like there's huge gaps over here. And then of course where this comes down, I didn't use any kind of flashing down here or drip plates or anything like that. So all I'm going to do is, because it's a shed and I'm not really trying to, you know, go too crazy on costs here, is I'm using this stuff, okay, this insulating foam. And see, this is 1 to 3 inch. I don't know if you can see that, but it's 1 to 3 inch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be filling in here where the PBR panel, you know, where it does this here. I'm just going to fill those in with just a little bit of a dab of this. Now, this stuff can be tricky because it expands, and it expands a lot. So you got to figure out the right expansion, you know, to just use just enough to where it expands to the space you want to fill. Otherwise it's messy. If you've ever used it, you know you'll get clumps of it everywhere. So it's kind of messy to work with, and you don't want to get this stuff on your hands either. In addition to that, I'm also going to be applying it between the boards here, because I didn't want to have to put another floor on top of here. Like I said, I'm trying to keep my expenses pretty low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these gaps in right here with this stuff. First, I got a few cans of it, and then I will go back through with a latex caulk or a silicone caulk here, and any spaces I miss with it, I'll fill in with that silicone caulking, you know, where the PBR panel meets the wood here. And then here I'll put the latex caulking on top of it anyways, to try to smooth it out as best I can. And then I'm just going to slap down some floor paint on here and just call it good. So mainly just don't want all these gaps for bugs and critters and stuff like that. Like you can see right here, there's a big one right there. So so yeah, that's what I'll do now. Try this out today, the GoPro. I want to show you the mud that I made here. So this is basically a cement mix, a concrete mix, but instead of using just the normal concrete aggregate, I mixed a lot more sand in here. So it's about 3/4 sand and the other quarter of aggregate, and still the same amount of cement, probably 16 to 17%. And right here are our steps leading up to our shed. Now, yes, I am still working on this shed. Yeah, so what I did was we took the bags, put them around the structure here, and made some steps with them. And now what I'm doing here is I just laid down some fencing, some old fencing I had. This is welded wire fencing, just to put on top of the bags here and leave a little bit of space here so I can get the concrete underneath. And all I'm going to do here is just put a light layer of concrete down with this and see how it works. You know, good chance it's going to crack, but you know, I like to experiment, so this is just an experiment. Worst case scenario, I can always cover it with more, but really just want to point out the consistency of this stuff here, so we're going to go from there. Yep. So there it is, you can see it. Now I'm going to point out a couple things that I'm doing here. So this line right here is where the water is going to come out, the rinse water, the gray water. I'm going to have a pipe that goes underground, and what I'll do here is I'll have an area where the water will filter, and then a second area here where the water will filter, and then a third area. I'll go into that in a separate video. That's a completely different thing, but it's a gray water recycling setup, so that's what we're doing there. One of the things I want to point out here is one of the things you learn when you build off-grid and you're building by yourself, you've done it for years now, is that I've learned to let gravity and nature do some work for me instead of me having to always work hard. So simple things like, for example, you know, building on top of a hill, you know, there's advantages to that. One of the advantages is that water flows downhill, so I don't have to, you know, deal with trying to figure out what I'm going to do with all the water coming from this you know, washer. So of course this is a hill here, and you know, like I said, gravity just does it for me. Also, another thing is, instead of digging this trench, because the ground's so hard here and I got a, you know, pickaxe and all that shit, just let the water do the work. So what I did was I just took a little tiny little trench first and just made it enough to where the water had a place to flow, and then after 2 loads of laundry, the ground gets saturated, and then all I have to do is go back now and just shovel it out, because it wets it, makes it easier to dig in, see? So that's an example of just trying to work smarter, not harder. So after this happens, I don't know, 10 times, I'll have a trench here, no problem, and I'll have a nice hole here where I can put my liner for the beginning of the water recycling. So there's that. So you can see what we got going on here. These are just field stone. Just picked up rocks from our property, put it all the way around it. I'm going to be putting a cactus bed on this side, the front, by the door, and then we're going to have solar lights right here. Now the concrete work here, it's more like ferro cement. This is just right on top of the bags, so you can see, and been walking up and down on it. So far so good, no cracks. The front here, I know it's messy in the front, but I have rebar and stuff set up there, but I'm actually going to be putting rocks, a little bit of stone masonry in the front to kind of like taper it down, so I wasn't too worried about that. So that hasn't been done yet, and so that's our path going in. Now you go in, of course, the door, you know, I had to make it custom, so here's just some handles that I made. Now we come in, and would you look at that. So you can see here, Got all my laundry hanging up. That rubberized coating really helps a lot. Keeps it nice and cool in here. In fact, what's even better is that when you have clothes hanging up in here, and because I put the screens over there where the soffits or soffits, whatever they call them, you know, underneath the roof overhang there, it's all screened. So when the wind blows, it comes from this direction over here, southwest, and it blows right under here, creates a real nice draft that goes through and up through the ceiling here. So it actually keeps it nice and cool in here. So the temperature in here is actually really nice and cool, you know, and it's actually really nice. So when you got hanging wet clothes, what it does is it kind of acts like a evaporative cooler, like a swamp cooler, because you got water, right, and it's soaked on cloth. And when you got a breeze going through here, you can actually feel the cool air coming off the clothes. It's kind of neat little interesting concept here, you know, but didn't do it on purpose, just noticed it. So of course we got our shelves here, got all the laundry stuff set up. I just took rebar wire and made some ties to hang our laundry on here. So the idea is I'll be able to hang 2 loads of laundry at a time, you know, from the washing machine. And of course I don't really want to use a dryer unless I need to, and the dryer will probably be used more when it gets cooler out, you know, or if we need to, you know, specifically need it for something. So, you know, I'm all about hanging and drying our clothes if we can. But plus the dryer pulls a lot of electricity, and I don't have a setup here yet because I don't have my home solar set up yet. When I do, it'll be set up for this. But right now, if I do run this thing, I have to run the dryer off a generator because, you know, that's a 30 amp 240. So it can, you know, it can run at about 5,000 watts, I believe. So, you know, that's a lot of wattage. So anyways, I have a generator on my truck if I needed to use this, but right now I'm just not using it because it's summer and it's going to be hot anyways. The washing machine is running off of solar completely. I just have a long extension cord. I had to get a, you know, a thicker extension cord that runs all the way down to the RV, and it's plugged in through the outside to the RV. I don't have any electrical, you know, wiring or anything like that in here. I just have a cord going outside the building here with an extension cord. But yeah, it runs off of you know, all solar. Of course, it's got all the nice, you know, buttons and everything. It's pretty cool. It's a brand new one, so we haven't had a new one in a long time, so it's pretty nice. Supposed to be energy efficient. You know, we got the Energy Stars for both. But that's the inside of the building. So you can see here's my little homemade lock there. Now we come back out. And I'll take you one last tour around the outside here. So my sons have helped with the stonework here. I'm getting too old for this crap. So they came over and just did dry stacks here. You know, it's pretty easy to do. Low maintenance, cheap of course. It's free except for the labor. But yeah, so we got dry stacks here. You can see where I have the cords coming out here. That's not completed yet. What I did was, this one's actually kind of interesting, at least to me it is. So what I did here is, this is actually just a container, right? So I cut a hole in the building, and this is a container that was holding PVC pipe fittings, like this, like one of these containers. So what I did was I cut the hole out, I have it screwed to the wood here, and then when I unplug this, like if I gotta go away or something, I want to unplug it, all I have to do is take the extension cords that are the cords coming from the water pump and the cord coming from the washing machine, and then of course the dryer cord will come out here, and tuck them into this container, right? And then just screw the lid on, and that's that. And then of course I'm coating this with the same rubberized coating that's on here. I just haven't done it yet. So yeah, that's how that works. And then of course I got my drain line. I just got to clean it up over here, but I got my drain line right here, and that'll be underground. And then my water, I'm just using an RV water pump in here. I'm actually gonna, I probably should take you inside to show you this, because it's actually, there's some things going on here that are gonna change. So right now I just have my water in a tote right here. I have a pump coming from my big water tank over there, so we can fill this up. I have a gas water pump here that I'll have set up where it'll take me minutes to pump all the water into that tote. You know, you can do about at least 10 loads, 12 loads of laundry with that. One of the reasons I'm doing it this way is because I want to track how much water I'm using, because when I'm setting my house up and setting up all my water systems, I want to have like precise numbers on what I'm working with. So anyways, yeah, I got a water pump. I just got to get some parts for that, but I'll have a pump that'll just pump the water from over there instead of using the RV water pump, which it just takes a long time when I use the RV pump, but with this thing it'll take me minutes. But yeah, once I set up the cam fittings on that, I'll just be pumping water right into there and it'll be done in minutes. So yeah, right now I have a hose coming in there, and I'll take you inside here. So much cooler in here, it's nice. Alright, so you see that pump? That's an RV water pump. Now you may notice here I have a hose fitting here, a Y, where I have the hot water and the cold water hooked up to the same pump. So right now this does not run on hot water because I'm off grid, folks. I don't have a hot water line or a hot water heater yet. Now you might ask yourself, well, why not just get a hot water heater? Well, hot water heater, like the dryer, runs on electricity or gas or whatever. In my case, it'll run on electricity. That's a lot of juice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a separate RV water pump that'll mount up here, and then I'll disconnect this hot water line. I'll connect it to the water pump, and then I'll have a hose, and that hose will go out to a barrel, 50-gallon barrel. That 50-gallon barrel is going to have a DC heating element, you know, same heating element you'd use on a like a normal water heater, but it's direct current. Okay, so it's a DC heating element. You hook it into the barrel, and then I will have 3 solar panels hooked up to that DC heating element that will heat the water directly from the sun. So in addition to having a black barrel that's going to be heated by the sun, I will have a thermostat hooked up to a direct current heating element. That heating element will heat the water. I'll have the cap off of the barrel so water pressure doesn't build up in there from the heat, of course. So I'll have that, have a cap on it, you know, like a screen top on it. And then I'll have a water line that'll come from there in through here. Probably put a relief valve on it, just, you know, so the hose doesn't blow up for whatever reason. And then a pressure relief valve, and then it'll be hooked into another pump, and then the hot water will be hooked into here. So that's how I plan on doing the hot water initially, at least for the meantime while the house is being built, so we can have hot water, especially in the winter time. Want to be able to have warm water for our you know, laundry. It's kind of a big deal when you're trying to wash dirty clothes, you know. So that's the only thing right now that's set up, you know, not the way we want it, but just wanted to get our clothes washed, so we were getting behind on laundry. So that's what that's for, that space here. And you can see here I got a shelf here. We're gonna put all our stuff in here. This shelf right here, we're gonna put a top on it. It will you'll be able to come in here, you can fold your clothes, and the temperature's so nice in here, you know, even though it's hot outside right now, you know, you come in here, you can just fold your clothes. We're gonna put a mat on top of this, of course. And then the floor, I have a rubberized coating, and I put, if you remember from the earlier part of the video, that showed you how I put caulking down and expanded foam here. And this was just a base coat. We're actually going to put a little carpet down in here just so when we walk in, you know, but just make it a little comfortable, you know, to do some kind of mundane stuff like laundry, you know, makes it a little bit nicer in here. So, you know, throw a speaker. I even got a speaker in here. You know, I could charge my phone off of it and listen to a podcast, music, whatever. So yeah, this is a laundry shed, folks. Of course, it's a DIY. Everything that I do out here is DIY. So made it, this is a pretty small shed. It's about 50 square foot maybe. So yeah, we're at about 50 square foot in here, less than that even. So, but you can see it does the job.